Okay, so we will take up verse number 12 of Dṛg-Drsya Viveka. So let's chant it first. Manoham kritya upada
Manoham Pruthvyupadanam
lingam ekam jadatmakam
Lingam Ekam Jadatmakam
avasthatrayamanveti
Avastatyamanveti
jayate mriyate tatha.
Jayate Mriyate Tatha.
So I unmuted all of. Time we talked about the nature of the mind, and here the author is adding a few more bits of information to clarify the understanding. As you would remember, he has talked about the mind having two parts, two divisions. So the dravya part, ahankara, and the vritti part. So mind and thought, the dravyam and the vritti part. Part of a larger body, which is called the sukshma shariram. So this is the upadanam over here, basically. Sukshma shariram here is being called, that is the sukshma shariram. And it's also called linga shariraha. It's also called subtle body. It's called astral body. So lingam is an indicator, and it's called the linga shariram because that is the body because of which you get consciousness, and that is the reason why somebody recognizes that you're alive. So that is the indicator that you're alive. The indicator that you're alive is the possession of a sukshma shariram, of a subtle body. And if you remember Tattvabodha classes, then sukshma shariram has 19 parts. And here the author is saying that the linga shariram has avasthatrayam. So avasthatrayam anveti. The linga shariram goes through the avasthatrayam also. So look at the words. Mano. So upadanam is what? Upadanam basically means the material part. So mano ahankritya upadanam. That has to be broken up into manas, ahankriti, and upadanam. So the first word breaks into manas plus ahankriti plus upadanam. So manas refers to the vritti amsha, the vritti part of the mind, and ahankriti refers to the dravya amsha, and the combination parent body. He's saying that this vritti amsha and the ahankara, which are part of the manas actually, they belong to a larger body, which he calls upadanam, and that body is lingam ekam, that astral body, that subtle body. Ekam. Why ekam? It is one unit. And he says jadatmakam, inert. It has no consciousness by itself. Atmakam here means in the nature of, and therefore linga shariram is jadatmakam. It is in the nature of matter only, inert matter. And further he says, what does this linga shariram do? Avastha trayam anveti. Anveti is follows or goes through, and therefore avastha trayam, it goes through. Trayam. Jayate mriyate tatha. Means, it doesn't mean that the subtle body goes through jayate mriyate. It means that the subtle body goes through the birth and the death of the physical body. Meaning anveti. Subtle body is there when the physical body goes through the birth and goes through the death. Subtle body is not affected. So at the time of the death, the physical body alone is destroyed. This is what he's saying. And therefore, when alive, when the physical body is alive, this subtle body, this lingam ekam shariram, it goes through the avasthatrayam, the waking state, the sleeping state, and the sushupti, the deep sleep state. So that is when the physical body is alive. And when the physical body is dead, then this sukshma shariram, it goes through the birth and death of the sthula shariram. So both ways, he's saying the separation and joining of the sukshma with the sthula, the separation of this sukshma from the sthula shariram is death. And the joining of the sukshma shariram with the sthula shariram is birth respective. So this is what is being said here. Now, from here, the author enters the another topic, which is what is the cause for samsara? So from 13th verse onwards to the 21st verse, there is an analysis of the cause of the samsara and the remedy for samsara. And the author wants to establish that ajnanam is the cause of samsara. And we talked about the three seers. So which are the three seers? If you remember, who are the three seers that we talked about? Remember this Dṛg? Who are the three Dṛgs? It's a long time ago, but I suppose you can recall,
Eyes,
right?
mind, and intellect.
No, I want you to tell me from what we have discussed. This is meant as a question of the teaching. What has been taught so far?
It's a world and senses, and then senses and mind, and
No? What were the terms used for Dṛg? First Dṛg, second Dṛg, third Dṛg.
Eyes see the scene.
Sorry?
Eyes see the scene and gives it to mind,
Yes.
becomes the seer.
First Dṛg was the eyes. First Dṛg was the
Eyes.
eyes. Then
yeah,
And then the mind,
second Dṛg was the mind. And third Dṛg,
intellect, buddhi.
what is the third Dṛg?
Sakshi.
sakshi.
Third Dṛg is the
Sakshi
sakshi.
is
Right?
the
So you
consciousness.
must, third Dṛg is the sakshi, right? So there were three Dṛgs. That the aksha, the eyes, the manasa, the mind, and sakshi, the witness consciousness or atman. So these are three Dṛgs that we talked about. And he wants to establish that ignorance about the three Dṛgs, which means that not understanding that out of the three Dṛgs, the first and second Dṛgs are mithya, and the last Dṛg, the sakshi alone is satyam. The ignorance of that fact is the cause of samsara. And the author is pointing out here that the cause of the ignorance is Maya. And once the Maya topic comes, obviously Ishvara and creation is briefly being presented, because the main topic here is not Srishti, but without introducing the topic of Srishti, the author doesn't want to come to Maya. Because from Maya he has to move to Ajnanam, and from Ajnanam he has to move to Samsara. So that is the way in which the discussion will progress. So briefly, a general introduction to this topic is what is creation? Creation can be defined as the production of an effect or a product from a cause or a karanam. Right? There is a karanam, the cause, and out of that cause, some product emerges. Creation. So karana karyasya utpattihi is srishti. Karanat, from the cause, karyasya utpattihi, the emergence of the karyam, the product, is called srishtihi. Now, when an effect is produced out of a cause, what is the mechanism? Take the example of a earthen pot made out of a lump of clay. So clay is the cause and the pot is the product or the effect. Now, if you ask somebody who created the pot, that person will say the potter created the pot out of the clay, right? Now, here the author is asking, if the potter has created the pot, what is it that he has created? And the author says there was maybe, 100 grams of clay in the beginning before the pot was made, and that clay was converted into the pot. And if you look at the pot, you'll find that the pot is also 100 grams. So, what really has been created is the inquiry over here. Because the potter has not produced any new substance at all. There has been no new substance added to produce the pot. The substance was clay. The pot is also clay. What has happened is that this so-called creation consisted only of adding a shape to the already existing clay. And once the shape was given to the clay, it was given a new name called the pot. And therefore, this process of production of any new substance, but it's just the addition of a form and a name to that form. Therefore, lesson number 1 is, what is karyam? What is product? Product is karanam, the cause, plus name and form. That is the product. And therefore, karanam plus nama rupa is karyam. For example, gold plus nama rupa, name and form, is bangle. Gold plus another name, another form, is chain. Gold plus a third form and a third name is the ring. So the goldsmith is the shape. And the question now is, this shape is not really a substance, right? So where does this shape come from? So Vedanta asks you to give this question of thought. Where does this shape, is it produced? Or is it already there? Or does he get it from somewhere? So Vedanta says that this shape is produced from anywhere, and it is certainly not added by the potter. All the shapes, says Vedanta, are already present in the clay itself in potential form. So, for example, a spherical body will have all possible shapes, but in karana form, in potential form only. So that's called avyakta rupam, potential form. So a sphere is nothing but all possible rupa in avyakta rupam, potential form. And therefore, this clay plus the avyakta nama rupa, which is unmanifest name and form, is the clay, right? The clay consists of the potential for name also. Sorry, not name, for form also. Name, of course, something we give to it. So there also you can say that clay consists of the potential name also. So essentially, there is clay, the substance, plus there is a potential form of the clay. All possible forms are there. That is the potential form. And all possible names are also there. So that is a potential name. And therefore, clay has form and unmanifest potential name. That is the lump of clay. What does the potter do? He only brings the manifestation. So the unmanifest form is brought to manifestation, and that form has got a name. Right? So Nama Rupa is already there. So that is the second lesson. The substance, Nama Rupa, Avyakta Nama Rupa, is called Karanam. That same substance plus Vyakta Nama Rupa is called Karya. So this transformation of unmanifest form, the substance remains the same. No change takes place in the substance. The change takes place only in terms of the manifestation or non-manifestation of the Nama Rupa. Substance in creation and substance remains the same after creation only. What changes is only Avyakta Nama Rupa. If these two lessons are understood, okay. Any questions so far?
Yeah, can you briefly summarize both of the lessons because your voice was really breaking in between?
Yes, the whole link is broken.
Yeah, but then as long as I'm in Madurai, that's good
Yeah,
enough.
just very briefly, maybe.
You take the original substance, the Vastu as it is called, that Vastu plus Avyakta Nama Rupa, Vastu with Vyakta Nama Rupa is called Karyam, the product. So Brahman plus Avyakta Nama Rupa is the Karanam for the universe. And Brahman plus Vyakta Nama Rupa, which we call Srishti. All that changes is Avyakta Nama Rupa change takes place in Brahman. So nothing can be created by anybody, including God. That is what Vedanta says. Ishvara cannot create anything. The creation only is in terms of change of form from unmanifest into manifest and back again. This was there in the Bhagavad Gita also in chapter 2, the beginning of chapter, long ago, if you remember. Now the question is, what is the Moola Vastu? What is this basic substance? So this basic substance, Vedanta says, is Brahman, Sat Chit Ananda, in the nature of pure existence and pure consciousness, limitless. So that is remaining there before Srishti in so before Srishti, and Srishti is Brahman plus Vyaktanama Rupa. Okay. And one can also say that every Nama Rupa also has a specific function. So you can add the function depending upon the Rupa. So again I'll repeat, Brahman plus Avyakta Nama Rupa is Karanam. This Avyakta Nama Rupa is located in Brahman. And this unmanifest potential name and form, it is got another name, and that is Maya. So Brahman plus Vyakta Nama Rupa is Srishti. Brahman plus Avyakta Nama Rupa is Ishvara. Brahman plus Vyakta Nama Rupa is Jagat. Brahman does not change. When Avyakta Nama Rupa changes into Vyakta Nama Rupa, Ishvara changes into Jagat. That is all that happens. And when the reverse happens, Nama Rupa, that is Pralayam. And the author says that this Maya is located in Brahman is also known as Brahma Shakti, because any Shakti or power cannot exist independently, and therefore the Shakti is dependent, Paratantra, dependent upon Brahman. Maya Shakti rests in Brahman and exists in Brahman. It is dependent upon Brahman. And this Maya Shakti has got two powers, Vikshepa Shakti and Avarana Shakti. But before we go into that, I just want a confirmation from you guys that so far what we have discussed has been understood.
Sir, Brahman plus Avyakta Maya
Yeah,
Rupam is Ishvara. And Brahman plus
yes.
Vyakta Maya Rupa is Jagat.
Avyakta Namarupa is called Maya, potential name and form in unmanifest state.
Mhm. But Brahm, okay. And what is Srishti then?
The same unmanifest state is converted into manifest state. Maya becomes manifest. That is all. That is Srishti.
Mhm.
Om, sir, couldn't hear you well when you mentioned something about pralayam.
Okay.
Sir,
Yes,
sir, couldn't hear you well when you mentioned something about pralayam.
yes, Nisha, bolo.
That the opposite is pralayam. का क्या था, sir? What did you say about pralayam? Sir, have we lost sir, or I am the only one who can't hear him?
Yes, we can't hear him.
We
We
can't hear
also
them.
can't hear him. It's okay. I know. Madurai connection is pretty bad.
Yeah, it seems like.
Yeah. So, okay. What did you say, Nisha? What were you saying?
Sir, you mentioned something about pralayam and your voice broke at the time. So you said like the opposite is pralayam. Can you repeat that? I wasn't really clear on that bit.
I'm simply saying when the Vyakta Maya moves back into Avyakta Maya, that is called Pralayam.
Oh, okay, okay. I just couldn't hear
The
you well.
changes
That's it.
take
Yeah.
place in Maya.
Hmm.
Changes take place only in Maya, not in Brahma.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
If you're clear on that, then we can talk about the rest of it. All right. So the author says that Maya Shakti has got, he says that over there. And therefore Vikshepa Shakti is the power to manifest, the power to convert from unmanifest to manifest. That is what is Vikshepa Shakti. So the Maya, which is into Maya in manifest form, and that is the use of Vikshepa Shakti of Maya. So this Vikshepa Shakti is responsible for the conversion of Avyakta Nama Rupa into Vyakta Nama Rupa. And then there is Avarana Shakti, which is the power of covering the truth, veiling the truth. And if you look at the verse, and what he is saying is that first, the Vikshepa Shakti of Ishvara starts to function at the time of creation, because Ishvara is not affected by Avarana Shakti of Maya. So he is fully aware of what he is doing. And using Vikshepa Shakti, Avyakta Maya becomes, Avyakta Nama Rupa becomes Vyakta Nama Rupa, Avyakta Maya becomes Vyakta Maya, and this is creation, this is Srishti. And once the Jiva has been created, he is automatically subject to the Avarana Shakti of Maya, which doesn't affect Ishvara, Ajnanam, which also means that this Jiva does not know that he is Ishvara, and therefore he starts to worry about mortality, disease, etc. etc. What is the solution? The solution is only Jnanam. That is going to be today because it's been a bit heavy, but you have some time, so we can ask questions. Any? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Sir, can you repeat that Vikshepa Shakti and Varana Shakti? That wasn't clear at all.
See, when Srishti begins, Maya has, at that time there is only Brahman plus Avyakta Nama Rupa, which is Brahman plus Ishvara, where the Maya is in unmanifest form, Avyakta Nama Rupa form. Ishvara is not affected by Avarna Shakti, so Vikshepa Shakti of creation begins. So Vikshepa Shakti basically is responsible for the conversion of Avyakta Nama Rupa into Vyakta Nama Rupa. Once creation is complete, then Avarna Shakti comes into play. This Avarna Shakti does not affect Ishvara, but it affects the Jivas who have been created. And therefore the Jiva is subject to Ajnana. That's what I think.
Thank you, sir.
Creation that is describing here. Verse. But right now, I think what you need to understand is this technicality about the conversion. What is Ishvara? What is Srishti? What is the connection between Karanam and Karyam? What is meant by what actually changes? All those things are what is mentioned in this verse.
Very deep.
Okay.
Om, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, so if we translate this clay pot and potter example to Srishti, then Srishti is the product. Avyakta Maya is the material cause.
No, there this
And
example won't hold good.
Ishvara is
This example won't hold good because clay is not avyaktam, right? Clay is very much vyaktam. So example has a limitation over here.
yes, but I'm just
Unmanifest form of the pot, potential form of the pot should be unmanifest clay. So it's only a very general example. It can't be taken literally.
yes, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. And the creator, which in the clay potter example would be the potter, and this case it would be the Ishvara.
Actually, there is in the case
even with its limitations, I'm just trying to draw like a.
No, the limitation of the example is potter is a third entity. Well, that is not there in the case of Srishti. Ishvara is not a third entity. Ishvara is Brahman plus unmanifest name and form, which we are calling Avyakta Maya. So the limitation of the example is there very much. It can't be used, accepting it for a general understanding. Because Avyakta Maya is Avyakta Maya, and Avyakta Maya plus Brahman is Ishvara. There is no separate potter at all. It is Avyakta Maya which becomes Jagat. You know, Avyakta Maya getting into Srishti means Avyakta Maya has turned into Vyakta Maya, Vyakta Nama Rupa, that is Jagat only.
Yes. Yeah, because here Avyakta Maya being the material and Brahman plus Avyakta Maya being Ishvara, that actually becomes a.
The important thing is to understand the linkages. How it
Yes. Okay, sure. Thank you.
stop for the day. All right. Om Purnamada Purnamidam
Purnamada
Purnat Purnamudachyate
Purnasya Purnamadaaya
Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti
Shanti. Thank
Shanti.
you for your patience, guys.
Master.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.